It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends yes! Caught! Touchdown! Did he get it?
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Full Court Press. Jason Walker and Eric Frandsen here with you on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, and streaming live on 1069thefan.com and the 1069 The Fan mobile app. Also available on podcast. We do that too.
Lots of ways. Lots of ways.
If you guys want to join the show, feel free to text in. Our Full Court Press text line is 435-339-0321. 0321. Welcome any input if you guys want to comment on any of the topics of the day. We've got high school basketball, college basketball, got transfer portal season is upon us, and maybe some hints at Utah State players who might be looking to be on the way out. There's some cryptic social media posts made today.
It's that time of year.
Cryptic social media posts, removing teams from your social media bios, that kind of stuff. You know, transfer portal hasn't even technically opened yet for all players. I think for some, it's technically they're allowed. There's like an exception, but like
right, if your coach leaves, whether he jumps ship to go somewhere else or if he's fired, then you can put your name in the portal immediately. Otherwise, you have to wait till December 4th. I think it is.
I think it's December 4th. So
yeah.
I've also got the 25th anniversary, like All Mountain West team. We talked about this year's All Mountain West team. The Aggies got 3 players on the first team All Mountain West, 9 honorees overall between first, second, and honorable mentions. By the Mountain West, they've been doing this for every sport. I don't know exactly what order. It's basically the order, I guess, like in the fall sports they've released the fall, and so we've had soccer and volleyball, and I think track and field. They do a basketball one yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, I don't, because they just barely released football. I think they've been waiting toward like the end of each of the regular seasons, roughly, for each of these teams. It's felt like that's been the timing for each of these. So the Aggies have had representatives. They had one on soccer. I suddenly spaced her name. The midfielder. We had her on our podcast.
Cardozo?
Yeah, Cardozo. Ashley Cardozo. She was on the 25th anniversary team. Nobody on the volleyball team. The Aggies haven't had too many super memorable players during their Mountain West era.
Right.
Well, when you've only been around for about less than half the life of the Mountain West, it's kind of fortunate the Aggies get any players on these teams in some cases. But they did get a few on the football team. I believe they got 3, if memory serves. So we'll get into that.
Yeah, and when you look at that, when I first saw it, I was looking over the full list. I'm like, what? What? Why is that? Oh, yes. They used to be a member of the Mountain West.
I know. That was the thing when I was looking through volleyball. There's a bunch of BYU and Utah players. The
Yes.
EMTs are like, wait, what? Oh, yeah. That's the thing. Because, they're a big part of Mountain West history, obviously. BYU, Utah, TCU. No longer there. All in the Big 12 now. One way or the other, they all ended up in the Big 12.
Yeah, that's true.
3 completely different paths to get there. But they all ended up in the Big 12 eventually. But wanted to start with high school basketball. Just recapping some of the early goings. Yesterday we gave our preseason order of finish prediction, even though it's not technically preseason. Teams had already played games. They played games last night. Had a chance to go all the way down to Spanish Fork for the second time, this month, I think. Because I called the Bear River football game at Spanish Fork.
You did a football game down there.
Which was either late October or early November. I can't remember which. It was probably early or late October. But still, second time in a month to go down there. Region 11 getting wins in both cases. Bear River football winning, and then Logan getting a pretty dominant victory, advancing to 2-0 on the year. So Logan getting its good start. I know you picked them to finish last in regional.
I know. They're going to make me eat crow.
The thing is, somebody's got to finish last. I feel like every one of the teams, I don't feel like there's going to be a bottom feeder team. I guess there's always a chance there will be, in preseason hype can be real, especially every time I look at these teams. I thought the same thing in football, and you ended up with Logan having a rough season, although everyone else ended up doing all right. But in basketball, I don't feel like there's a bad basketball team in Region 11. I don't even know if there's a below-average basketball team in Region 11. They all look good.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of parity this year. And, last night we also saw Skyview go to Box Elder. Box Elder's a good 5A basketball team. And I expressed some concerns I had about Skyview and what that team would look like. I know they had the one returning starter who was really good, but a lot of new faces playing expanded roles. So I know I didn't pick Skyview very high, but look, they played very well last night in a tight game and found a way to win on the road, which isn't always easy to do.
Yeah, a big win, getting it final score 61-57. Kind of managing to just outlast, because Box Elder outscored Skyview in that fourth quarter by only 1 point, but still had to hold them off, get that 4-point victory. You mentioned the one big returner for Skyview, at least that was part of the main rotation last year, Tanner Davis. I think he was first team All-Region last year.
Was it him or his brother? I don't remember.
It might have been his brother. I have to go back and double check, but he was All-Region for our selection. Coming up big in the win over Box Elder, 33 points. Player on the other team had 31 points, hit 6 3-pointers. Elijah Kersey just about doing Skyview in there with his scoring, but yeah.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting as the season goes on, and especially at the end of the year when it's all said and done, to figure out who will be the player of the year. Because several teams have some very dynamic players that are very important to their team's success, and could be a very interesting and very tight race for that honor and recognition.
Yeah, a lot of the different teams. I think your top 3 candidates, even though every team seems to have their star, but I think your top 3 candidates are going to end up being probably Tanner Davis, Jordan Child, and Jared Anderson. Those are your 3. They're all going to score a lot of points this year. They're the leaders on their team, especially, Jordan Child and Tanner Davis both having to make up for the fact that some of the other key contributors from last year's teams are no longer there. Jared Anderson, there's an expectation that Green Cane's going to take a jump, and so you expect Jared to be getting a lot more hype because he'll not only be scoring, but expect him to be on a better team as far as their results go. There's some other guys you could see. You could see Caden Hess from Mountain Crest. Could see some a little bit, and then you got Kyver Jensen, Garrick Marble from Bear River. One or both of those may get some hype, but they weren't really. They didn't put up tons of stats. They don't put tons of points. Bear River just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe they're gonna take a jump this year. Then Ridgeline. It'll be interesting because I don't know if they're going to have a statistically dominant player in the same way that Tanner Davis or Jordan Child or Jared Anderson. But there's an expectation that they'll be the best team, and so you're going to see guys like Jagger Frankham and Carson Cox get a lot of credit for that. A lot of headlines there. Frankham, he scored 20 points the other day. Granted, Ridgeline actually ended up losing, but we'll see. I don't think they're going to put up as many stats as some of the other guys, but best team, best player often gets a lot of credit for that.
Usually that's the case. But
and both of those, and Carson Cox, on our own first team last year, I felt like he got kind of snubbed. he narrowly missed out on getting first team in favor of a couple players from Logan who finished below Ridgeline in the standings. So.
Yeah, I'm excited for this year's basketball season for Region 11. We've had a few games sprinkled here and there, but over the next few days, we're going to get a lot of basketball in Region 11. Bear River hosts their own little tournament. They've got games tonight and tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and then they have a game Saturday at 4. Green Canyon, Ridgeline, and Mountain Crest are playing kind of a round robin with schools, a couple schools from Idaho and a school from southern Utah. And so they all have games tonight at 7, games Friday at 7, and then games Saturday at 1. Logan's got another game that they're going to play this week. So it's they play Friday against Woods Cross. So there's a lot of hoops going on here in northern Utah over the next few days.
Yeah, I was just doing a quick count of all the games. Yeah, so 4 different teams are going to play 3-game, little showcase type tournaments. And yeah, it ends up adding up to 14 boys basketball games to be played in the next 3 days. With all 6 teams in action at some point, most of them at home. Skyview is actually the only one who won't be at home this week. They will travel to Madison, Idaho. And they're the only team that has to play on the road the rest of this week. Of course, they've been on the road every game this year so far. Bonneville, Box Elder, and then Madison. They won't play their first home game until December 7th. They'll actually play 4 straight games away from home. So, tough start to the season for Skyview, although not doing too bad. Because they're 2-0, right? Yeah, 2-0. Because they beat Bonneville, narrow win over Bonneville.
Yeah.
And Bonneville narrowly beat Bear River. So I don't know if I want to use a little transitive property, because Bonneville beat Bear River. That's too many B's. They won 54-52. Skyview beats Bonneville 71-69 in overtime. So, a little interesting there. And then Skyview getting the narrow win over Box Elder. So maybe there's some parity there, because Bear River's a team that's looking to make the jump up.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, they were a decent team but just struggled in a tough region. Now they're the team with the most returning experience. They're returning like 90% of their points production, but over 90% of rebounds, assists, 3-pointers made. Like, they're returning so much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's going to be fun to see how this plays out. And sometimes for a school like, or for a team like Skyview, where you really have one main returning starter and then a lot of other guys who maybe got a little bit of action last year but weren't like main rotation guys, but now they're elevated. Playing a lot of road games early can be helpful to bring your team together, because there's no other distractions. You're in a hostile environment. You have to rely on each other. You can't kind of rely on the crowd or just the friendly confines of where you're familiar. And so playing a lot of road games early is important in a young team's development to get them to come together and figure each other out.
Yeah, and so you got a couple of teams that have kind of taken that strategy. Skyview, they're going the extreme with 4 games away from home. Logan has yet to play a home game. You mentioned their next game is at home. That's their home opener against Woods Cross, which, funnily enough, so Logan played Woods Cross last year. They faced a certain Jackson Smith, a name that may ring slightly familiar because he's on the Utah State men's basketball team.
That's right.
So I don't know if he's going to be at the game or not. The Aggies are at home this weekend. So you imagine Jackson Smith might make a visit to...
Might try to make an appearance.
Yeah, might show up.
Mountain Crest is the other team that's had a lot of games on the road to get their season started. Not so much like trying to come together as a team for them, as much as there's a lot of returning guys back. Maybe they I don't think maybe. I think it's pretty clear they struggled last year. They were competitive in a lot of games. They just couldn't figure out how to win a lot of games. And so there's that's what I like about the Mountain Crest schedule here is games against some decent competition on the road away from home, but you're familiar with your guys and trying to take that next step in the team's development to be more of a contender in Region 11.
Yeah, I think it's important, especially the fact they've been fairly successful in these early games. They're 2-1 right now. And seeing good performances from guys you wanted to take a step up, like I mentioned, Caden Hess. They really had to rely a lot on Oliver Nethercott last year. He won Player of the Week one week because he just put it back-to-back 25-plus point games. But everyone else was kind of struggling with that consistency. And Hess, he was one of the players that good one game, not as great the next game. And he wasn't the only one. There's a handful of other players. But they're all starting to, play more consistently, be productive in a lot of different ways. So we're seeing some good things from Region 11 so far.
Yeah, and if you're a real basketball junkie, a lot to follow and to keep on top of this week. And we're going to have all those games covered with the exception of the Skyview at Madison game. Pretty much every other game happening between now and And Saturday afternoon, we're going to have on local radio. We're also going to be video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com with ways to follow along. And so you can be at one game and then pull up your phone or your mobile device and or an iPad or something like that and to check in on another game somewhere else if you want. So we have all those available. Or when you get home, the archive will be available and you can go back and watch it after the fact.
Yeah, Chance, I went back and was rewatching some of last night's game, Logan at Spanish Fork. It was a good game. A lot of good performances from the Grizzlies there, and I just wanted to rewatch a little bit. It's like, yeah, some good moments there. Even being able to be there, you wanted to kind of relive some of that.
Yeah.
Just a lot of fun stuff. Of course, I'll be at another game tonight. I'm subbing in for Bear River today.
Yes, yes. Jason is a very busy boy these days.
I know, and I'm going to be doing a lot of broadcasts this year because we're going to be doing our girls basketball broadcast as well. So. Yep.
We'll be doing a designated girls basketball game of the week. That'll be really fun to highlight the really solid play of girls basketball throughout Region 11.
Yeah, that's something that I've been able to cover girls basketball around here for about half a decade now, and it's really underrated. Soccer is probably the best. Girls soccer is probably the best sport in the valley as far as the talent that gets brought. And we've had these conversations with some of the coaches, Manny Martins and some of the girls soccer coaches. It's really good, but girls basketball, it's really good as well. There's a 5-star recruit in the valley right now.
Yes,
who's already becoming a star in the sport. She's entering her junior year and is on pace to become one of the handful, I think one or two players in girls basketball history in the state of Utah that have scored 2,000 points. She's on pace to do that. And there's other great schools as well. So I'm looking forward to highlighting a lot of the different great teams we have in the valley.
Yeah, so it's fun. It's our privilege as a Cache Valley Media Group to be able to follow these schools from all of the schools from in Region 11. We do our best to try to cover each school equally. Sometimes there are some extenuating circumstances outside of our control that sometimes make it difficult for some schools, but or when they go on the road. But we do our best to bring as much equal coverage as we can, and to have a designated radio station for each school where you can listen, and a designated play-by-play and color analyst crew for each school, and also make the video stream available on CashValleyDaily.com. So if you've got family and friends or outside the area who want to check in, they can do that, or be at one venue watching one game in person and checking in on another one virtually.
Yeah. And it happens to me while I'm on the broadcast. I'll be like, hey, I want to get a really quick update on scores around the valley, and it's pull up the broadcast. It's right there. Can do it. So it's a lot of fun. So looking forward to the weekend of basketball. Utah State, playing on Saturday. Big test against UC Irvine coming to town. Toughest opponent by Ken Palm yet. We'll get into that a little bit, some of the standings and whatnot. But yeah, then high school basketball, getting into the thick of it. There's a lot of preseason. You're wondering what these teams are going to look like, but we're getting our first good look at all of these teams.
Yeah, a lot of these teams have had games that they've played, but not very many games at home, and a lot of them have games this week. Skyview is the exception, at least. I mean, they played at Box Elder yesterday, so not too far away, but still they haven't had a home game. But everybody else in Region 11, they're going to have home games over the next few days where you can go and see what their team looks like. And like I said, I really had a hard time picking our region standings just because I think there's going to be a lot of parity in the region this year, and which means it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, probably the funnest year I've ever seen in high school basketball. I can't remember exactly which year it was. I think it was 2018 or 2019, one of those 2 years. It was one of the years Mason Falslev was playing for Skyview. And it was a year where I think there ended up being a 3-way tie, at the top or something like that, where there's almost this rock, paper, scissors, because you had Skyview beat Bear River twice. Green Canyon beat Skyview twice, and I think Bear River managed to beat Green Canyon a couple times. There was this circular, and I think Logan ended up beating Skyview once or twice that year. So everyone was beating everyone else, and I think it was that year that Skyview actually ended up as the 3 or 4 seed coming out of out of Region 11. This may have been before they went to the RPI. And Skyview ended up winning the state championship as like the lowest seed coming out of Region 11. So, but it was just so much fun because there's just, I was covering it for the Herald Journal at the time, and I ended up watching some classic games. It was Skyview against Green Canyon. It was at Green Canyon. It was just came down to free throws at the end of the game.
And there were battles between Skyview and Ridgeline as well.
Yeah.
Because you had Falsla versus Brenchley, and there was, I can't remember his name, there was a great player at Bear River that same year too.
Yeah. And there were a couple of good matchups between, Logan and Skyview, where Logan was actually probably had one of the most impressive defensive game plans against Mason Falsla that I'd really seen from anyone. So it was... There's a lot of fun stuff that year. So I'm hoping for a similar thing this year, where it's kind of nice to have a team that's just super dominant. We're probably going to see that in girls basketball with Ridgeline. They're returning all but like one rotation player from their,
pretty much their whole roster.
Yeah, they lost one player who was like their 7th or 8th person in the rotation, and they went undefeated. They're bringing almost everyone back. So we're probably going to see that. And we've seen some super dominant, Mountain Crest and girls soccer a couple years back, even Green Canyon and girls soccer this year, in undefeated seasons in football and whatnot from Skyview and Ridgeline. But it's cool to see teams that are that good. But the funnest seasons to cover, like from my perspective as, someone, who's in the industry of covering these games, it's the funnest for me when it's interesting, when it's not, it's another blowout for Ridgeline, or, it's another blowout for Green Canyon. It's, figuring out the crazy mess of tiebreakers at the top of the standings because everyone's beaten each other at least once. Or there's, this team swept this team, but then that team swept, it's just, it's so much more fun for me. I know for fans, they want to see their team win every game, but for me, it's kind of interesting to have this much parity in a league. And we'll see if that plays out. We're kind of hoping that parity is there.
Yeah.
But obviously none of these teams have played each other yet, so we'll have to figure that out come, I think first region games are in January. Yeah, mid-January. So it'll be a little bit.
Yeah, so it'll be a minute. But great time of the year to dip your toe into what high school basketball is going to look like this year with a lot of games over a short amount of time. Green Canyon is hosting games, 3 games in 3 days. Ridgeline and Mountain Crest also are doing that. So is Bear River. Green Canyon, Ridgeline, Mountain Crest, they're all kind of in a round robin with 2 schools from Idaho, Mountain Home and Twin Falls, and then Hurricane coming up from southern Utah in that mix. Bear River hosting their own tournament. So they've got Union tonight. They've got American Prep Academy.
Like American Prep. I think they're in
West Valley.
Yeah.
So that's tomorrow. And then they've got Uinta on Saturday. The Bear River games are at 8, 8, and 4. The Green Canyon, Ridgeline, and Mountain Crest games are 7, 7, and 1. So they'll play 1 o'clock on Saturday. And then Logan plays Woods Cross on Friday. So a lot of hoops.
Yeah, plenty to go over there. We need to take a quick break. We'll continue talking hoops, but we'll shift our focus up another level. We're going to go to college basketball, talk about the Mountain West, kind of summarize how things are going. First look at maybe what the NET might look like when the official NET rankings will come out, as they are going to come out soon, and how all that may compare to Ken Palm and whatnot. So we'll get into that next on the Full Court Press.
'Tis the season, and if you're getting engaged, bring that special someone to S.E. Needham Jewelers. You'll love our extensive selection of beautiful engagement rings. Also, you'll select a diamond from Utah's largest selection of loose diamonds. You'll find a unique ring at an affordable price with diamonds direct from Antwerp, Belgium at internet pricing. It just doesn't get better. And you may also take advantage of our 12-month interest-free financing. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
Agis Home Health and Hospice is your premier healthcare provider. When your loved one needs care, at home, wherever home is, allow Agis Home Health and Hospice to help. I'm Josh Fenton, part of the Agis team, where we customize healthcare for optimal results. Our award-winning staff brings character, experience, and trust. Contact us today and see why we were voted best of Northern Utah. Call 435-723-9000 or visit our website at myagis.com.
This is Justin Hamilton from Cafe Sabor and Off-Premise Catering. The holidays can be so hectic. That's why I'm so excited to make your holiday catering so simple. Maybe it's a last-minute holiday office lunch, family get-together, or corporate party. I can handle any size gathering with my off-premise catering team. You'll love Cafe Sabor's favorites are Hamilton steak and seafood, prime rib, salmon, and all the trimmings. The menu is up to you. Let my off-premise catering team handle your last-minute holiday event at your office, home, Cafe Sabor, or one of our many banquet facilities. Call 755-9500. That's 755-9500. Happy holidays from your friends at Cafe Sabor and your off-premise catering team.
While you're doing whatever it is you do, we're testing, retesting, engineering, and re-engineering to keep up with you. We run together.
Your local Train dealer, JM Mechanical, has moved to 222 West 2850 North Logan, just north of Airport Road. Fast 24-hour heating service is available in Box Elder, Cache County, and Franklin County with a 100% satisfaction guarantee.
It's hard to stop a train.
Thank you for letting Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, the Allergy Clinic, and the Hearing Aid Center take care of your family medical needs this year. Make sure you call now for an appointment before the end of the year to utilize your cafeteria funds. Located in Providence and the new Three Peaks Medical Plaza, North Logan. The entire staff, along with Dr. Benyon, Blotter, and Robinette, wish you a safe and wonderful holiday season. Go to CacheValleyENT.com for details. Most insurance products, including Select Med, are accepted.
Several families who need help this holiday season have been nominated by trusted individuals. Some of them need winter clothes, others would like toys or music, and others simply need basic necessities. The Cache Valley Media Group is sponsoring Cares for Christmas. Visit caresforchristmas.org to see what these families need, then drop off your donations to 810 West, 200 North in Logan. Thank you for helping these deserving families, and thanks for caring this Christmas.
This is Nate Lamson with Valley Office Systems, your home team when local matters. Valley Office Systems is your local provider for all things office, copiers, printers, furniture, and document management. Proudly serving Cache Valley since 2007. Visit valleyofficesystems.com.
They never could play it, but they sure can talk about it. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker on the Full Court Press.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Jason Walker and Eric Frandsen here as always on 106.9 The Fan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, and online 1069thefan.com with the 1069 The Fan mobile app. Feel free to chime in on the Full Court Press text line 435-339-0321 as we get talking about Mountain West basketball heading into getting further and further into the season. Most teams have played 6 or 7 games. The Aggies are through 7 games, right? They're 6-1.
6-1.
And, there's rankings that are slowly beginning to incorporate more and more of the actual season data as opposed to being completely reliant on preseason stuff, which is stuff like, Ken Pom and a bunch of others. They have their preseason and they slowly get warped by reality.
Yes. And you've heard us refer to Ken Pomeroy's numbers quite a bit over the last few weeks. Ken Pom, KenPom.com. He puts his own rankings or standings together.
Yeah, and his have kind of been the de facto preseason rankings that people go with. He's seen as there are others that I go with. There's Haslametrics, there's EvanMia.com. It's Ken Pom. Everyone goes to that. I even put Ken Pom numbers in my game previews. Because that's,
widely recognized as pretty solid.
Yeah, pretty solid stuff. Pretty good analytical stuff.
And when you look at the Ken Pom numbers, Utah State is 67 in the numbers today, as they're updated every day.
Yeah, it dropped a little bit from I think they got as high as 60 for a minute after that win over St. Louis. But they've kind of dropped. And usually when you drop on days where you haven't played, it pretty much has everything to do with somebody else played and leapfrogs you.
Right. Yeah, just other play that's happening around college basketball. So San Diego State number 18 in the Ken Pom. Colorado State number 25. They're number 20, by the way, ranked in the latest, was it the AP or coaches poll?
AP polls come out Monday. I think Colorado State jumped into it. I
know they're ranked 20th. I just don't know if they're ranked in both polls. Yeah, they're 20th in the AP, 21st in the coaches.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're getting some respect there. Nevada 48, New Mexico 50, USU 67, Boise State 86. So those are the teams in the top 100. Nobody is outside of 200, so pretty respectable numbers for the Mountain West so far. CBS Sports, they're trying to mimic the net rankings. And the net rankings, actual from the NCAA, those will actually begin to be revealed early next week. So going into that, CBS Sports has tried to mimic the formula that the NCAA uses for its net rankings. And when you look at their rankings compared to Ken Palm, there's some pretty big differences.
Yeah, and the thing is, look at last year's NET versus Ken Palm and everybody else's rankings. NET was absolutely in love, entirely infatuated with Utah State.
Yeah.
The Aggies were getting inside the top 20, and I don't think they got inside they might have barely gotten inside the top 30, top 40 in any other metric. They're always like in the 40s. I think they snuck into the 30s at the best in some of these rankings, but they would be in the teens. Top, best in the conference. NET thought Utah State was the best team in the conference last year.
Yeah.
And in all
I
these
finished the season at 18, I believe.
Yeah, and all the other rankings would put the Aggies, I think, about where they finished I think they finished like tied for second or something like that. But they would have them as like the third or fourth in the conference. So NET loves Utah State, and CBS's imitation of the NET also really likes Utah State.
Yeah, San Diego State is still the top-ranked team in this list at 15. Ken Palm has them at 18, so pretty close to the same. But after that is where it really diverges. Because Utah State and Ken Palm is 67. In the CBS Sports net rankings, the Aggies are 23.
Yeah, it's mainly because the Aggies have been really efficient on offense and pretty darn efficient on defense. And I don't know how much strength of schedule. I forget how much strength of schedule calculation there is in the NET. I feel like there has to be one. But the thing is, the Aggies had some outstanding efficiency numbers on offense and some pretty decent ones on defense last year. And that's the big reason, if I'm guessing, why NET loved Utah State was those offensive efficiency numbers. They were like top in the country. And it drags the Aggies all the way to the top of the rankings. So I think the way NET does its rankings, it really favors, I guess, what Utah State did last year. And, this year, they're going about it in a different way, but they are still hyper-efficient on offense. This is a team that ranks top 10 in field goal percentage and is scoring 80-plus points on the regular. And they're also better on defense, which is another key. Also defensive, efficiency numbers. So they're really good on defense. They're still hyper-efficient on offense. And so when the NET numbers come out next week, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Aggies were still, were top 30 in the initial NET ranking, especially if they beat UC Irvine.
Yeah, that's a big one to take on UC Irvine on Saturday. But just so there were, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams out of the Mountain West in the top 100 in Ken Palm. CBS Sports Net Rankings has 7. And so Utah State at 23, San Diego State at 15, as we mentioned. Boise at 34 as compared to 86 in Ken Palm. Nevada at 48, which is exactly the same, interestingly enough. New Mexico at 64. They're 50 in the Ken Palm. UNLV 94. UNLV is 127 in Ken Palm. And then San Jose State at 99, just sneaking in the top 100. And Ken Palm has the Spartans at 132. But then, one school we haven't mentioned who is a top 25 school are the Colorado State Rams. The CBS Sports Net Rankings has Colorado State at 115.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Whereas Ken Palm has them at 25.
I don't know how that happens. I feel like there must have been some data entry error.
Right, because you look at who Colorado State has faced, they've had a good schedule. They've played and beaten good teams. So I don't know how they would have such a low
net ranking because they beat Boston College, they beat number 8 Creighton, they beat Colorado. I mean, these are recognized as schools from big conferences, power conferences in basketball. And they have Washington this weekend, another Pac-12 opponent. But I'm a little flabbergasted as how the CBS Sports net rankings has Colorado State at a 115.
Yeah, there has to have been something wrong with the data entry at that point. It just doesn't make any sense. Because Colorado State, right now, they're the best team in the Mountain West, in my opinion, the way they're playing. San Diego State certainly has a lot to say about that and how good they've played. They've only got one blemish on their record, and that's playing at BYU, who is currently ranked 10th in KenPom. And are probably, I forget if they're ranked in the top 25. I imagine because BYU's 7-0 right now.
Yeah.
So you've got a couple of really good teams at the top of the conference. And it just speaks to, how well the conference is doing as a whole.
Well, this CBS Sports has BYU at 84.
Yeah, I don't get it.
There's something with their calculations that's just kind of weird.
Yeah, something I feel like has gone desperately wrong there.
Because KenPom has BYU at 10.
Yeah.
So there's a vast difference in what they're calculating here.
And the thing is, the Mountain West as a whole, we talked about this thing last week where it looked like the Mountain West was starting off pretty good. Maybe it was like a week and a half ago. They're starting off good because teams are starting off 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. Well, like I said, you've got 6-1 San Diego State, 7-0 Colorado State, 5-0 Nevada, 6-1 New Mexico. Utah State may be outperforming early expectations with 6-1. Like, the worst you're getting out of teams that were kind of, you could even point out San Jose State, maybe doing a little bit better at 5-3. I mean, even Air Force is 6-2. I don't know how tough their schedule has been, but before I interrupted myself, like Boise State and UNLV are kind of the two that are like underperforming, but Boise State's playing a brutal schedule, just filled with top teams. UNLV is probably the one that I would say is disappointed the most, but really it's just the one game for them where they got beat by Southern somehow in their season opener. And since then, they've got 3 wins, and then they're 3-3. Their 2 other losses are to some tough teams. But that's like the worst you get as far as disappointment is. UNLV's dropped 1 game they shouldn't have. They've lost 2 games. They're a kind of coin flip. But they could just as easily rebound the rest of the way. Boise State, they'll rebound. They're a good team playing some tough teams.
Big games on the schedule tomorrow in the Mountain West. Let's see, I don't think anybody plays tonight, but tomorrow Fresno State's at BYU in the Delta Center. San Diego State is at UC San Diego. I mean, that's not a big game. But then Boise State is at St. Mary's. And St. Mary's is a team that's been a little bit underperforming based on what people are saying. And there's been some criticism about what's going on in Boise, and there's some pressure kind of mounting on Coach Rice. But as you said, Boise's played a very tough schedule to start the season. Doesn't get much easier tomorrow night at St. Mary's, even though St. Mary's is only 3-4 so far.
Yeah, I think the problem that Boise State is running into is they're playing a super tough schedule, but they expected to be a super good team.
Yeah, that's true.
This is a team that they did lose some key guys, but they brought back some good players. They brought in some transfers they thought they were going to be really good. Now, you've got Tyson Degenhart, preseason All-Mountain West. Roddy Anderson was sought after recruit. Around here there are a lot of people wanting him to come. Ended up going to Boise State. He had a really good freshman season. I just forgot where he was at last season. It was somewhere in California.
Yeah, where was that?
Yeah, I forgot exactly where he was at. But, he's actually kind of struggled early on. And so Boise State's struggling to take full advantage of the talent they have on their roster. And so the fact that they're 3-3, they probably expected to be 4-2, 5-1. Maybe similar record to Utah State, even against a tough schedule. The Aggies have played an easier schedule. It's a lot easier to go 6-1 against the Aggie schedule than it is Boise State's. But Boise State expected to be, about where Utah State is record-wise, having beat tough teams. And when you have that much returning talent, you're expected to be really good. And they haven't lived up to that. Colorado State, San Diego State, they are. They were expected to be good, and they are. They are as billed in preseason. Boise State, they're feeling that they're worried they're getting exposed. If I were them, I wouldn't worry. They still have a very good chance of, finishing at the top of the mountain with standings. It's just their tournament resume is not going to look as good as they were hoping it was going to be.
Yeah, so it's an interesting time of the year where when we initially saw the Utah State non-conference schedule, it looked like, okay, here's some decent teams, no real blue chip teams that the Aggies have on their schedule, but reminiscent of what happened last year, really, where a lot of good teams, no blue chip teams, but its effect on the net, I think, caught us all by surprise. And it looks like it may be doing something similar again this year.
Yeah, Utah State has the kind of schedule that if you're like, a coach or somebody who's boots on the ground in college basketball, you look at their schedule and you think, oh, that's a pretty good schedule. Now, you don't think that it's this murderer's row schedule, but you say, oh, that's a tough team, and that's a tough team. And the casual fan looks at it and says, this schedule sucks. Because it's a bunch of teams that you've only kind of heard of because every now and again a couple of them have made the NCAA tournament, which is generally, that's like my litmus test for like, is this team notable? Is how often have I seen their name in March Madness?
Yeah, well, I know we need to move on, but if we look at the same CBS Sports Net rankings for the Utah State non-conference schedule, these are the rankings so far and then what's to come. So Bradley was a 78, or currently a 78.
78 in KenPom?
In the CBS Sports Net rankings.
Okay.
So Bradley's 78, that was a loss on the road. Then Marshall at 83, St. Louis at 97, Akron at 105, Southern Utah 113, Stephen F. Austin 136. So games still to come. Santa Clara is currently at 87. UC Irvine is at 102. San Francisco is at 114. Then you got some dogs with 234 San Diego and at 265 ETSU.
And in that, the whole thing, I don't think there's a single one of those that's a quad one game.
No quad ones as of right now.
Couple are close.
Yeah, Bradley's very close.
Bradley and Santa Clara. Or actually, let's see. Santa Clara's on the road.
Bradley would be a loss. Bradley's a loss still, but it could be a quad one loss because it's on the road. A quad one game that you participated in. And then some neutral sites. Marshall.
You get a little close.
Yeah, not quite there yet.
All right, we got to take a break. We're a little bit behind. We'll keep things going. Talk a little bit about Mountain West football 25th anniversary team. A few Aggies getting some representation there. That'll be coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
Hello, I'm Ashley Nate, Operations Manager at Cache Valley Bank. My calm and caring personality combined with my quick problem-solving skills help me provide my customers with the personalized attention and exceptional service they deserve. And I look forward to providing you with that same experience. Come visit the Preston branch and ask for Ashley or give me a call to see what opening an account with Cache Valley Bank can do for you. I look forward to meeting you. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Did you miss the Black Friday sales? Daryl's has some good news for you. This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. This Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. come to our last chance Black Friday sale. Save up to 50% off select appliances including Whirlpool, GE, Maytag, and more. Not only do you get the best price and the best service, but Daryl's also services what we sell. Double dip this weekend with Black Friday prices and exclusive rebates. Plus 12 months no interest financing available. See store for details. Daryl's last chance Black Friday sale this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. West on Airport Road.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. Life is good. Life at My Mattress is good too. Why might I say that? Because today is a good day to slay a Goliath. The other day I went into a mattress store here in Logan that has 2,500 stores across the country. I'd say that's a Goliath. We were 20% less expensive on every bed that we both offer. We may not have 2,500 stores, but we are number one in Cache Valley. Better product and better prices. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. Since 1997, we've been Utah's premier one-stop shop for home medical equipment. What sets us apart at Alpine Home Medical is the superior level of customer service. We provide home oxygen, CPAPs, wheelchairs, scooters, breast pumps, and so much more. Come on down and get to know us.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit alpinehomemedical.com.
The New Year's Eve celebration at the Riverwoods Conference Center is looking to be bigger and better than ever. Don't wait to reserve the biggest night of the year with a delicious New Year's Eve buffet. Appetizers, soups and salads, garlic rosemary prime rib, brown sugar Dijon pork loin, blackened salmon, braised short ribs, and more. And the dessert bar, endless decadent choices including cheesecake swirl brownies, turtle cheesecake, chocolate-covered strawberries, and there's more. You don't want to miss New Year's Eve at the Riverwoods. Reserve today, 750-5151, 750-5151.
The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Got to get a quick segment, another break, and then finish up the first hour here on the Full Court Press. But wanted to bring up some honors that some Aggies got. This is the 25th season of Mountain West sports. Starting in 1999, we're gonna have, I guess, 2024 will be the 25th. I don't know. The math works out. This is the 25th season, so Mountain West's been doing a bunch of 25th anniversary, all Mountain West type teams. They've been doing it for every sport. We've seen some Aggies honored on a couple of those lists. I think they do it for track and field as well.
It's a good question. I don't remember.
I need to double check those because I've seen them come out for soccer, and there was one Utah State player there. Didn't have anybody on volleyball because the most notable Utah State volleyball seasons either just barely happened or were pre-Utah State joining the Mountain West. But in football, they've just released those, and there are 3 players who are on the All Mountain West team. And I guess I was going to ask if you could name all 3 of them. I'm pretty sure you've already read the releases.
Yes, I have them in front of me.
Yeah, so
it's not much of a quiz.
And I saw earlier, and it's names that shouldn't surprise too many people. It's Jordan Love and Bobby Wagner and Nick Vidnos.
No, not Bobby Wagner.
Sorry, he was I was trying to look at it. Oh, Savon Scarver. I don't know why I substitute Bobby Wagner for Savon Scarver.
Yeah, Jordan Love at quarterback, Savon Scarver for a kick returner.
Yeah.
And linebacker Zach Vigil.
Yep.
So, it makes sense. There's been some great Aggies that have been part of the Mountain. Well, they've been part of the Mountain West, but when you look at a 25-year span, Utah State hasn't been a part of the conference as long as some of these other schools. So I don't feel like there were too many snubs there. Could you make a case for some other guys to maybe have been included? Maybe. But yeah, you're right. There are a number of players from schools that are not part of the Mountain West anymore. But it's also interesting. You look at their list of offense, not very many offensive linemen. There's only 2, 3, actually 3. Most of it is quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, a few tight ends.
It's hard to be such a standout offensive lineman to make you think, a list like this. But, on the point of Utah State players making the list, it's almost remarkable they got 3. Because, Air Force, how good they've been. They have, 2? And they're a team that's had maybe a bit more success. Colorado State had a few. BYU only got, a handful. See, they got 1 on offense, 1 on defense.
No, Dennis Pitta, Luke Staley, that's 2 on offense.
Oh, sorry, I missed that one. So 2 on offense, 1 on defense.
Brady Papinga on defense.
So, having that many, only having been in the conference for basically 10 seasons, either 10 or 11, entering into 2013. fact that you have that many impact players.
True.
And this is all the teams. Again, it's 17 teams throughout football, that have been in the conference that time. All of their best players from 25 seasons, and the Aggies managed to pull 3 of them. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. And they're in some really good company. You look at some of the other players at their position that did get recognized, and they are in very good company with what they're able to do, and for good reason. I mean, they were very good players for Utah State, very dynamic players for the Aggies. So, there's a full list that was out, and that was released. Utah State has their 3 players, but they had 25 players on offense, 25 on defense, 10 players on special teams.
So, pretty good representation for the Aggies. And we do have a text coming in on the Full Court Press asking, did Savon Scarver ever make it in the NFL anywhere? I think he ended up on a training camp at some point. The main problem that Savon Scarver has, like, his kick returning abilities would have likely been NFL caliber. The main problem that he has is that was the only thing he brought. He didn't really bring anything as a wide receiver. He wasn't really a great wide receiver. He also wasn't a punt returner. Because that's the interesting thing, is that Devin Tompkins, not only is he a great wide receiver, but he's a kick returner and punt returner. There aren't any teams that are wasting a roster spot on just a kick returner.
So it looks like he was picked up by the Bears as an undrafted free agent in May of 22, but then waived 3 days later, and then signed with the Ottawa Red Blacks as a member of their practice squad in September of 2022. I'm not sure if he is still on the Ottawa Red Blacks or not.
Yeah, I'd have to maybe double check that. I need to check up on some of the former Aggies that are fringe NFL. We do need to take another break. We'll finish this up on the other side here on the Full Court Press and finish up the first hour.
It's back. Jarek's Fine Jewelry in Logan is having our annual Pick a Pearl event. If you've attended this in the past, you know how much fun we have. And if you haven't come before, you don't want to miss this exciting event. Still, only $10. Pick your oyster, open it that day, or save it for that stocking stuffer surprise. Mark your calendar, Friday and Saturday, December 8th and 9th. Pick a Pearl at Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Look for the bright green cars.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special. Make it Jarek's.
Advanced Heating and AC and Advanced Fireplace and Stove want to help local families this year with a food drive. Drop off your canned foods at Advanced Heating across from DI or hand them to one of their technicians when they come to your home for a repair. And to say thank you, the Advanced team will match all your contributions and offer a 20% discount on your next service call. Find out more at AdvancedFireplaceandStove.com or call 752-7272. Donate to Advanced Fireplace and Stove's canned food drive for local families.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
Prodigy Brewing is the perfect place to meet up with family and friends this holiday season. Whether you're sipping on a carefully crafted brew, enjoying a delicious juicy burger, or biting into a sizzling wood-fire pizza, Prodigy Brewing is the place to be. Come in for Trivia Tuesdays or with friends and family to celebrate the season. Voted best craft beer and bar and grill in northern Utah. Cheers to making unforgettable memories at Prodigy Brewing on Center Street in downtown Logan. Prodigy Brewing, extraordinary service and family friendly.
Check out the new Liberty Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in beautiful Montpelier, Idaho. We've got friendly staff, great service, fresh inventory, and the same values you expect in a small town. Montpelier, Idaho, a small town with great people to serve you, the people of Idaho, Wyoming, and Utah. You can now see most inventory online too at libertycdjr.com. We're the new Liberty Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Montpelier with warranty forever.
Advanced Heating and AC and Advanced Fireplace and Stove want to help local families this year with a food drive. Drop off your canned foods at Advanced Heating across from DI or hand them to one of their technicians when they come to your home for a repair. And to say thank you, the Advanced team will match all your contributions and offer a 20% discount on your next service call. Find out more at AdvancedFireplaceandStove.com or call 752-7272. Donate to Advanced Fireplace and Stove's canned food drive for local families.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
Not everyone has been in an accident, but everyone knows someone who has. If you or a loved one has been hurt in a car, truck, motorcycle, cycling, or pedestrian accident, call the Advocates today, now with offices in Cache Valley. The Advocates offer free consultations. Talk with an experienced attorney and let an advocate guide you through your case and take over the stress of phone calls with the insurance company so you can rest and get better. You didn't deserve to be in an accident, but you do deserve an advocate. Chat online at utahadvocates.com or call 801-355-5550.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the full court press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Be prepared for winter with a stop at your local Napa Auto Parts. You can get 50 pounds of Blue Heat ice melt for just $10. Pick up a set of Trico, Bosch, Rain-X wiper blades. Napa can even install it for you. You can stock up on washer fluid with Prime Guard or Peak. If you drive a diesel, it'll run better when you treat the fuel with Standardine, House, or Power Service. You find it all at one of your 5 locally owned Preston to Providence Napa Auto Parts locations. And as I finish that up, it's almost time to take another break. In the second hour, we will talk. There's transfer portal news, so I'll just tease that. Well, I don't know what news, but maybe some worry about a Utah State player. Will he stick around? That'll be coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Before the start of the season, Damar Hamlin looked like a shoo-in to win Comeback Player of the Year honors. Well, Hamlin, of course, beat the odds after a blow to the chest caused his heart to stop on the field last season in Cincinnati. Thankfully, the Bills' defensive back is fully recovered and returned to action. But after yesterday, as crazy as it sounds, he might have competition. Aaron Rodgers suffered a torn Achilles in Week 1. Achilles injuries often end players' career, or they at least keep them out for a season. But at 39, Rodgers is on an unprecedented path. 80 days after the injury, the 4-time MVP is back at practice. Putting that in perspective, the great Kobe Bryant suffered a similar injury in 2013. It took him a little under 8 months to return. Playing quarterback is much less demanding on the tendon than basketball, but nonetheless, it's impressive. And if the Jets quarterback can work his way back into form before the end of the regular season, Comeback Player of the Year may no longer be a one-man race. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.